90% of women like this penis the most. Now before your mind runs wild, take a breath. You read that right. And if you're feeling shocked, uncomfortable, curious, or maybe even a little amused, good. That's exactly why I said it. Because this is about so much more than what you think. This isn't a conversation about body parts. This is a conversation about presence. About power. About truth. Let's just get it out of the way. Everyone is obsessed with the wrong metrics. We live in a world where people are measuring themselves with yardsticks that don't even matter. As if size or performance or technique is the key to connection, to chemistry, to love. But let me tell you something that'll blow the lid off that nonsense. You know what women want. Not just the smart ones. Not just the successful ones. I'm talking about women across the board. The ones who are fully in their bodies. The ones who are growing, evolving, rising. They're not asking, how big is it? They're asking, do I feel seen? Do I feel safe? Can I trust him to hold me, not just with his hands, but with his presence? That's the real power. That's the real secret. That's the truth no one puts on magazine covers or hashtags on Instagram. Women, real women, don't fall in love with anatomy. They fall in love with the man behind it. They fall in love with the man who makes them feel like they matter. Like they can exhale. Like they can let go and be soft and not have to explain their worth. And I'm telling you right now, if you want to be the man 90% of women crave, you better start looking in the mirror and asking yourself some hard questions. Because it has nothing to do with what's in your pants, and everything to do with what's in your character. The man who shows up consistently. The man who listens, really listens, without trying to fix her. The man who doesn't flinch when she brings her full self. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she brags about. That's the man she wants to let in, not just physically, but emotionally. You know how rare that is. A man who can stand in his own skin without needing validation, without hiding behind ego or bravado. A man who doesn't flinch when she cries, who doesn't run when she's messy, who doesn't shut down when she gets powerful. That man, he's unforgettable. I've sat across from so many people, men and women, and I'll tell you what I've seen. The pain that comes from trying to prove something instead of becoming someone. The heartbreak that happens when people confuse performance with connection. When they show up with their bodies but not their souls. That's the epidemic. We are starving for real. Real connection. Real presence. Real intimacy. Not just the kind that happens in bed, but the kind that happens in silence, in eye contact, in choosing to stay when it gets hard. So, what's the penis 90% of women like the most? The one that's attached to a man who knows who the hell he is. The one who's done the inner work. Who's learned how to handle rejection without crumbling? Who can express his desires without shame? Who owns his past but doesn't let it own him? The one who doesn't apologize for being masculine, but doesn't weaponize it either. That's the man who wins, not just in love, not just in sex, but in life. And here's the kicker, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be honest. You have to be brave enough to take off the armor. You have to be self-aware enough to know when you're bullshitting yourself. You have to be willing to grow, to get uncomfortable, to open up even when it's terrifying. That's the edge. That's what separates the men who get women from the men who understand women. And if you can do that, if you can lead with integrity, if you can hold her not to impress her, but to honor her, you'll never have to wonder if you're enough. Because you will be. And let me be very clear, this isn't about doing the work so women will want you. This is about becoming the man you're proud of, no matter who's watching. The man who doesn't need to perform. The man who doesn't need to chase. The man who doesn't need to compare or compete. Because he knows what he brings to the table. And he brings it without needing applause. So yeah, 90% of women like this penis the most. But it's never been about the penis. It's been about the man all along. And when you become that man, watch what happens. She'll lean in. She'll soften. She'll trust. She'll crave more than just your touch. She'll crave your presence. Because you, my friend, won't just be a man. You'll be the man. And that changes everything. Presence is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood qualities a person, especially a man, can develop. It has nothing to do with physical size, flashy style, or how loud someone speaks in a room. Presence is subtle, magnetic, and deeply felt. It's the invisible force that makes people feel drawn to you, safe with you, and deeply seen by you. For women, and for anyone in a relationship, romantic or otherwise, presence is often the single most attractive and emotionally grounding trait a man can possess. But what is presence, really? Presence is the ability to be fully here, in the moment, without distraction. It's when your body, your thoughts, your energy, and your attention are all aligned in one place, now. It's when you're not thinking about the next thing you want to say, not checking your phone, not mentally solving tomorrow's problems or stuck in the loop of yesterday's regrets. It's when you're actually listening. Really listening. With your eyes. With your face. With your body. With your spirit. For a woman, presence is safety. It's what allows her to relax, open up, and connect. If she's talking to you and you're distracted, fidgeting, or thinking about what you want from her next, she feels it, immediately. You may not realize it, but your energy communicates louder than your words. When you're present, she doesn't have to compete with your phone. She doesn't have to repeat herself. She doesn't have to perform or second-guess your interest. She just gets to be. That's rare. That's powerful. Presence also has a physical quality. A man who walks into a room fully present holds a different kind of gravity. His posture is grounded. His breath is steady. His eyes are soft but focused. He's not scanning the room for validation, he already carries his own. He doesn't need to dominate the space, because he already owns his space. He doesn't rush to fill silences with words, because his stillness speaks volumes. And when he engages with someone, he's not just hearing, he's witnessing. This kind of presence requires inner work. It's not something you fake, and it's not something you can buy. It comes from learning to be comfortable with stillness. It comes from confronting your own distractions, fears, and insecurities. It comes from learning to sit with discomfort instead of avoiding it. To breathe when you want to react. To stay when you want to run. And most importantly, it comes from self-awareness, knowing what you're feeling and being honest about it. Presence is also a form of emotional discipline. In relationships, it means you don't just check out when things get hard. You stay. You listen. You stay engaged even when emotions are high, even when there's conflict. You don't go cold or defensive. You don't disappear. You hold space for the other person to process what they're feeling, even when it's messy. And that kind of emotional steadiness. That's deeply attractive. Presence is also intimately tied to masculinity, not toxic, performative masculinity, but grounded, conscious masculinity. A man who is present holds a container for emotion, intimacy, and passion. He doesn't force it. He doesn't manipulate. He simply shows up fully, and that's enough. His presence invites connection. It invites vulnerability. It invites desire, not because he demands it, but because he creates space for it. In a sexual context, presence is everything. It's what turns a physical act into an emotional and spiritual experience. It's what allows for real chemistry, deep trust, and intense intimacy. A man who is present doesn't rush. He notices. He responds. He reads her body language. He slows down enough to sense what feels good. He's not performing, he's experiencing. And that, more than any technique or trick, is what creates unforgettable intimacy. To be present is to give someone the rarest gift, your undivided self. Your full attention.